Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Damn Podcast. I am your host, Angie Machado, publisher of BeaverBlitz.com. Joined with me, as always, each week, Beaver Blitz beat reporter Jake Hedberg down in Corvallis. Jake, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic. Just got done taking a final, done with school for the week, and ready for a fun weekend of Oregon State baseball.
Yeah, so we wanted to come to you guys today, a night before the first Corvallis regional game, where Oregon State will take on Tulane tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at Goss Stadium. But it's also a really big football recruiting weekend as well. So this will be the biggest recruiting weekend of the 2025 season, and with Coach Bray under his tenure as head coach. So we have a not a huge show. So thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, throw your comments into the side or into the chat, and we can try to get to questions as they pop up. But we want to run down this Corvallis regional that will take place this weekend, and then talk the recruiting and the official visitor weekend, and then have some questions over on Beaver Blitz in the lodge that we want to answer, ranging from everything from football to baseball, Jake. So it's been kind of at least we're down to what, 2 sports for you right now. So it's a little easier than that January, February timeframe. So how are you down to 2 weeks of school?
Well, I'm done for the week now. So we have school next week and then finals. So
okay. So 2 more weeks and then
2 weeks to go. Yeah.
All right. You start
Can't
to
wait
get
for summer. Pretty excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer's going to be fun too. Summer at Beaver Blitz is always fun. Lots of content, lots of discussion, but just a little more chill before the football season starts. One thing before we jump into this, Jake, did you see the announcement of a couple the times for some of the Beavers away games?
I did. Can't remember the last time Oregon State had a 9 a.m. game. I think it was Ohio State. And
I was going to say, I think it was Ohio State or Michigan, one of the two.
It was Ohio State, I'm pretty sure. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to I'm going to that game. So I got a friend that's from Boise. So we're staying there and doing Thanksgiving there on Thursday night. Then 5:30, 6 a.m., wake up and ready to roll for what really should be one of the better games on the Oregon State schedule in 2024.
Yeah, and you look at that, in that game, it's a Friday after Thanksgiving, huge viewership opportunities.
It's on Fox, yeah.
On Fox. And I looked across the board, and Oregon State's going to be on a lot of TV sets this season.
I think the Oregon game's on Fox, Boise game's on Fox, all home games are on CW, and then SDSU, Air Force, and I believe Nevada's the other road game.
And there would be on CBS Sports
Sports Network.
Yes.
So it's a hell of a lot better than the Pac-12 network, in my opinion.
Oh, completely. Wait, go ahead.
The one thing I saw, John Wilner tweeted that Washington, they have 5 games announced. None of their games are Saturday on the national TV. So
I know. Crazy, huh?
They're streaming based, or they're a Friday game on Fox Sports 1.
I don't know if you saw then his follow-up tweet about Stanford.
I didn't know.
Stanford has a game. Gosh, it was one of the East Coast schools on September 20th. And then the classes start. Syracuse, yes. I was going to say, I wanted to say Rutgers, but it wasn't. I knew it wasn't. It was Northeast, though. And then classes start 3 days later. So it was a Friday game, a night game Friday against Rutgers on the road. They come back Saturday, start school, and then they are on the road again the next Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how it's going to last, especially for the smaller sports. Like, from a revenue-driving sport like football, where there's so much at stake and so much money gets brought in, I can see how it lasts. But for the Olympic sport types that don't sell out 70,000 capacity stadiums or aren't broadcasted on ESPN with millions of people watching, like, I don't know. I can't picture Stanford flying to Miami for a swim meet is really going to bring.
I mean, that's just it. If those programs are going to complain now, just wait until baseball, softball, track, swimming.
It's certainly going to be
Basketball.
interesting. I feel like the landscape 2 years from now, or
Will be
even
completely different.
at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if it's different by the end of the summer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just based off the whole turmoil around the ACC, and now there's just a ton of smoke around Utah not being happy in the Big 12 and potentially wanting out. I don't know. It's tough to know.
And now you have the House settlement too, the House versus NC2A, and how that ramification is going to want to go for especially non-revenue sports.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly interesting. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the whole politics side of sports, if that makes sense. Like I just kind of like to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was interesting because, and I know we've kind of got off on a tangent here, but I think it's relevant right now, and with this House settlement and they're talking that schools would have to, if you want to be on a Power 4 conference, Division I, you'd have to dedicate. I think the one minimum was like 20 million. That's kind of what I've seen, 20 million per year revenue share that you would share with all your athletes. So right now, an in-state, they figure, and this came from OSU prof, and he said if you're a student at Oregon State, now I should have looked at my numbers, but it was $240,000 is what a 5-year in-state benefit package looks like for a student athlete. So that's everything: room, board, books, class tuition, all their tutoring, training tables, all of it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's tax-free. This House, if you're looking at 20 million a year and you break that up over 600, I went 600 because Oregon State has a little over 600 student athletes. That would work out to $32,000 per year. That would be taxed. That works out to about $120,000 a year.
Huh.
So anyway, it's an interesting, and maybe it was 140. It might have been 140 versus the 120, but one's tax. Anyway, I shouldn't have brought it up because it's I don't want to misspeak. But Rip City in the chat just said Oregon State only has, is it 2 7:30 games?
One is confirmed, the San Diego State game on September 6th, and then the home game on October, I want to say 12th against UNLV. It's either 12th or the 19th. That is
okay.
To be determined, but it's either 12:30 or 7:30.
That's right. And we had 2 of those, I think.
Yeah. I'm also a big fan of the Civil War at 12:30. I like that.
Oh, I love it too. I think that's going to be and early in the year, so the weather hopefully will be good in Corvallis.
The one thing, students won't be on campus, but you can bet that there will be a ton of people down here, at least from the student perspective. Still,
is that work week yet? Is that the first week or weekend of work week, or is that the next week?
Is it? I think it's the week before.
Pull it up.
Work week. I don't know exactly. Sure.
Would people be coming in? Like, would the Greek system houses be coming in that week?
All of us will be here just because we usually get here like the first week of September. But
okay, so the 14th, it looks like that would maybe the week before work week, because that would be the 21st would be the next weekend. Actually, no. I bet work week's the week of the 23rd, and then school starts the first week in October.
School starts the 25th.
Oh, okay. Then I bet that would be work week.
Yeah.
So students would be filing in.
I mean, the one knock potentially is the freshmen not being here because they don't have any housing available yet. But I saw a few people on Twitter just complaining about how like the Civil War being in September means the student section might not be full. But I can pretty much guarantee you 3.5 months out that the student section is going to be packed.
It's
going to be a fun game. Yep.
Okay, so let's switch gears and talk baseball because Oregon State started off gangbusters this season. Number 6 in the country ranking. Fought Arkansas like close in that early season tournament in Texas. Struggled down the stretch. Arizona then took the regular season Pac-12 championship and the Pac-12 tournament championship. So Oregon State is the number 2 seed number 2 team out of the Pac-12, number 15 national seed. So that means they're hosting their regional, not necessarily hosting super regional. They would have needed to be a Super 8 or whatever to get guarantee. That being said, in Oregon State's region, I actually think they got a pretty good draw. In Corvallis, the 1 seed is Oregon State, 2 UC Irvine, 3 Nichols, and 4 Tulane. Oregon State kicks things off against Tulane tomorrow, Friday night at 6 p.m. And then they are matched up in the Lexington Regional with Kentucky, Indiana State, Illinois, and Western Michigan. So let's just talk about your thoughts with Oregon State. I mean, UC Irvine is going to be a tough one. I don't want anybody to overlook that. But what is your thoughts? Just let's talk Oregon State's regional.
My first impressions were really, it looks like Oregon State or UC Irvine, like pretty clear top 2. But the more I dive into it, the more I feel like a Tulane or a Nichols could potentially compete. I mean, starting off with Tulane, I mean, this is a team that's hot. They've won, I want to say 6 or 7 straight, 9 out of their last 10, including a series sweep of a 1 seed in East Carolina. This team they're probably the second best offensive team behind Oregon State. They've hit a ton of home runs, a ton of power. Their coach was a bench coach at Oregon, I believe, before Tulane. So there's some familiarity there. But again, I do think the Friday night matchup favors the Beavers. I mean, Oregon State's lost 2 games at Goss Stadium all season. Aiden May's pitching on the mound. The rumor is Trent Caraway is anticipated to be back tomorrow, which would be a huge addition to an already pretty potent offense. So excited to get out there on Friday and check it out. And then flipping over to Nichols and UC Irvine. Nichols has a legit ace. Jacob Mayers, he's I don't remember if he's a righty or lefty, but he's a very, very, very good pitcher. He's probably, outside of Aiden May, the best pitcher in this regional. He's 105 strikeouts and just over 69 innings. Really just nasty stuff. And I think Oregon State got lucky that they will likely not have to face him. There is the potential, if Oregon State and Nichols were to end up playing on a Monday, that Jacob Mayers would be available to pitch. So ideally that's not the case, because he's, in my opinion, would be one of the better pitchers Oregon State has faced all season. And then secondly, UC Irvine is a team that has proven in the past that they can come into Corvallis and beat Oregon State. While this isn't necessarily a team that will, for lack of words, beat you with the long ball, they're pretty potent offensively. They average over 9 runs a game. They have a first baseman, Anthony Martinez, 325 average, 70 RBI. He'll produce. They also have a pitcher who is very good. His name's Nick Pinto. He's a 9-2 record, over 90 strikeouts, sub 3.5 ERA, and it appears as if Oregon State has avoided him as well. So the fact that those 2 pitchers are going to be matching up for Irvine and Nichols bodes well for the Beavers.
But Oregon State's also going then throwing their ace with Aiden May.
Yeah, I do feel like Oregon State's starting pitching depth, the caliber is a little higher. I mean, Jacob Kamatz has been fantastic. And then I thought Eric Higuera's last outing against Arizona was phenomenal. Then on top of that, Jaron Hunter's an experienced guy who started a lot of games. AJ Lattery's back and healthy, which is a huge boost. I thought for his first appearance in 3 months, he looked really solid against against Stanford. And then a guy who really caught my eye, and I think might be the X factor, Nelson Keljo. If he can, he's got the stuff. He topped out at 99 on Wednesday against Arizona, or on Thursday against Arizona State. He has struggled with consistency at times, but I don't think there's a pitcher on the Oregon State staff with a higher ceiling than Keljo. And if Keljo can keep that momentum from the Arizona State game rolling, it makes Oregon State staff much deeper and much dangerous.
And be a little more in control. Can't be beating guys. Joe Swaim in the chat said, is Lattery back but on pitch count, or is he back fully?
Unclear at this point. He was on a pitch count last weekend through 30 pitches. So I would imagine he probably will be throwing no more than 50 if he goes this weekend, but my gut tells me they're going to save him for either a Sunday or a potential Monday game.
Okay, hopefully it doesn't get to that. But what do the Beavers need to do to move on? I mean, I know Oregon State has great bats. I know pitching is always has been our big question mark week in, week out. But what do you want to see from this Beaver team that will say, yes, this team is moving on?
For me, it's the mental errors. Those have been kind of, they haven't been
running,
the cleanest. Yeah, I mean, you saw it in the first 4 batters of the Arizona State game. Oregon State had 2 guys get picked off, and that's very uncharacteristic for what is usually one of the cleaner programs, like very fundamental. Like you really don't see that happen at Oregon State, and those errors not only offensively but defensively as well. Ground balls being botched or just miscommunications. It's uncharacteristic, and if Oregon State can log that in and come together as one, then I really do feel like they can compete with anyone in the country. I mean, this team is as talented as the Tennessees, the Texas A&Ms, the Wake Forests, those top dogs, and hopefully they can come together, get rid of those mental mistakes, and lock in for a great weekend of baseball that leads to a super regional appearance.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Beaver fans maybe not down on this team, but maybe after they started off so hot and were so highly ranked, expected them to finish stronger. I do think maybe there's been a lull, but there's no better time than the present to lock in. And like you said, it's all fixable stuff. It's not like this. I mean, this is a team that, yes, they've struggled some on the mound, but they do seem to be coming together and kind of nailing that in. It's mental mistakes on the base paths or out in the field that really has hurt this team.
I mean, talking about struggling on the mound, Oregon State in their last 6 games has allowed 13 runs, and that's just over 2. A few of those are unearned runs. So the team ERA over the last 6 games is sub 2.
Yeah.
Which, if they can keep that going, I mean, that'd be phenomenal. I mean, I would say the issue predominantly for Oregon State this year has been inconsistency out of the bullpen, but they've kept leads the last 6 games outside of the Arizona game, but they've kept teams off the board for the most part. And
even the Arizona series, if you look at the Arizona series, was it 23 or 24-3 in the first 2 games?
The first 2 was 25-3.
25-3. So they can
won that series. They outscored them 28-7.
Yeah.
And they dropped the game, which you don't see that. If you see a run differential of 21, it's typically a sweep.
Yeah.
But,
Speaking of sweeps, here going off on another tangent, but how surprised were you that Cal got left behind?
I mean, to me, it's just kind of not shocking. At this point, it's really come to be expected. I don't get putting a 28-27 team in Florida and over a 36-19 team. I mean, I get the politics of the SEC, and Florida will certainly bring in more money than a Cal would.
But Cal swept Oregon State. They beat UConn.
Cal's they're a damn good team. They have a potential top 15 draft pick in Caleb Humavita. Like, they're a very good program.
But you're right. It was the politics again. And but Jake doesn't like to get in the politics of that.
The three teams, it was Florida and then 2 others. They all had a person associated with the athletics department on the NCAA's selection committee, whereas schools like TCU and Cal didn't, and they didn't get in. And I would argue that TCU and Cal had better records than those 3 schools.
Yeah.
Or
again, it's SEC.
Yeah, I mean,
we have Nova Blue in the chat who just said, I can't wait for Friday. First time going to a Beaver Baseball regional game. Go Beavs.
Yeah. This will be my second, so I'm pretty good as well. Pretty excited.
And Joe Swaim did say Coach Canham is doing a great job.
Yeah, no. The way Canham's carried on the tradition and successes of Pat Casey, obviously not to the extent of a national title yet, but consistent top 10 Caliber teams. I mean, he's had really four real seasons now. 21 was a rebuilding season. 22 they were fantastic. 23 was again kind of a rebuild, start to reload, and in 2024, I mean, it's a 42-14 team, and 9 of those losses are by 1 run. So you could very easily be looking at a 51-5 Oregon State team right now.
Crazy.
And
you're
again,
right. I mean,
yeah, it'll be.
Canham has done a really good job.
Oh, yeah, he certainly has. I mean, I know some Oregon State fans may have mixed feelings about Scott Barnes, but every coaching hire he's made really looks good. You got Chris Pendleton, the wrestling coach. Canham's done a fantastic job. Jonathan Smith, as much as Oregon State fans might not like to hear this, he did a really good job. And to see that, it's promising. It gives you hope for the like a Trent Bray. Scott Barnes has done a great job identifying talent and coaching talent and getting that to Corvallis.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And what I've really noticed about Coach Canham is the continuity of culture. And I think it can be overlooked so many times. I mean, I saw it with my own kids' high school team, how important culture is and how it can take a really, really good team and maybe make them make them more mediocre, and take a mediocre team, make them really good. So what we hear from every player, several of the players, is that they love these guys. I mean, this is brothers to them. And they love Canham. They love Oregon State. They love Goss. It's just more Beavers in the making. And it's a lot of fun to watch. Joe Swaim has a question. Does transfer portal and NIL stuff impact baseball? You mentioned a different website. It's one of our competitors. So we are 24/7 Sports. And you're not going to find a lot of people covering NIL in baseball or just even recruiting in baseball.
Yeah.
Transfer portal will come into play, as will NIL. And that's, if you're following Damnation NIL, they have they have some boosters that have put up $125,000 as a match. If they can get to $125,000, they're trying to raise $250,000 this weekend to help cover that, because baseball is an 11.7 scholarship sport, and that's across the board. That's every school gets 11.7 scholarships. So instead of giving out just 11 scholarships, they give out partials. Adley Rutschman, for example, was on a book scholarship. So they give out portions of those scholarships to help. But if they can now make up the difference with some of these top recruits by giving them NIL money, it's huge. It is so important. And so that's where it comes into play.
I mean, in terms of baseball recruiting, you haven't seen the fallout that you've seen with different sports. Like, I mean, Oregon State still got 2 of the top 200 draft prospects. They've got them committed, and they might potentially be on campus. 2 pitchers, and then it seems a lot more likely that players like Gavin Turley, Trent Caraway, Dallas Macias, Jacob Craig. It seems like at this point, I'm pretty confident that they will be back. I wouldn't really expect a mass exodus like we saw from
women's basketball.
You will see players transfer. There's been rumblings, but a lot of the times it's guys going to play rather than actually.
And that's just it. You're always going to find guys leaving.
Yeah.
Guys are going to leave for opportunity. Baseball players leave all the time because they want to find a spot that they're going to play. Football players leave.
It's another thing. Yeah.
So Joe Swaim then does say, I'm scared of SEC teams with their big bags of NIL money sweeping in and buying our best players. I don't, the best players, to be quite honest,
don't be worried
Oregon
about
State, and they're giving. I mean, there's a lot of them are foregoing bags of cash from the MLB. So
Gavin Turley and Trent Caraway both turned down millions.
Yes,
for
the college experience.
Had a 2nd round, 3rd round draft pick, even potential 1st round draft pick.
So
and they turned that down.
and from what I see from these guys is they love Oregon State, but
Oh,
it is important, and it can't be understated that yes, NIL is coming into play here, and so that's where the damnation NIL is going to come into play, and trying to raise this 125,000 to be matched to give them 250,000 that they can help spread out to give more opportunity to the players instead of give you a book scholarship or we can pay your room and board for a term. So no, it's going to be exciting. Corvallis Regional tomorrow. Oregon State again kicks off at 6 p.m. Against Tulane. I was going to say be there or be square, but I know a lot of people. One of our questions in the mailbag is about getting tickets. Goss sold out. I think it was like what 3, 4, 5 minutes, something crazy like that.
Yeah. The way they've handled it, like for us as students, we have no idea how to get the student tickets. Like they've done nothing. I don't even know if there is student tickets. And I mean, I sure hope there is because otherwise there's going to be a lot of pissed off students. But like
Jake is taken care of because Jake is media. So Jake is in. Jake is there.
Yes.
So don't worry, Beaver fans. He will be there. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk football recruiting because that has been the other thing that's been keeping you busy.
Oh, yeah. Busy week.
It has been a busy week, and you've had a final. Goodness gracious, it's been busy. Biggest recruiting weekend of the year for Trent Bray during his tenure as head coach. I mean, he's had some big recruiting weekends during his time coaching, but 11 prospects coming in this weekend. 12. Sorry, 12. Who am I missing?
If you want, I've got the official.
Probably, well, I think Barron, but I think Barron's not coming now.
I was texting with him yesterday. It sounds like he's gonna try.
Okay, so that he is not on the list right now. So that is probably the 12. Yeah. So, but you want to just run down because you have been reaching out. You've been communicating with all these guys. Give me your thoughts, just about. I know you reached out to me and told me that they're really responsive, which is huge.
Yeah, very responsive.
It speaks volumes to the type of players they're recruiting. But give me a little overview of who you've been talking to, what your thoughts are on these young men, and what to look forward to.
Yeah. So first of all, this is a talented group. I mean, you have 3 guys who are rated as 4-star prospects. You got really one of the top linebackers in the country, probably the best linebacker prospect on the West Coast in Zadris Rainey Sale. He actually committed to Washington after the national championship game, I believe, and then after Kalen DeBoer's departure, backed off. He's taken 6 officials, I believe, and he's established a great relationship with Trent Bray. I mean, I remember talking to him after an unofficial visit last year before he kind of blew up and got that 4-star, and he was just raving about Trent Bray. And while Oregon State already has one inside linebacker commit, adding another one to the caliber of Hadris would be incredible. And then another 4-star, Baron Naoni, pretty familiar name to Oregon State fans, was the first commit back in October, decommitted in late December after the departure of Jonathan Smith and his position coach, Brian Wozniak. He's taking things a lot slower this time around. He's really checking schools out. He's got Arizona State, Cal, Washington, in addition to Oregon State. And I've known Baron since 4th or 5th grade, and I'm really hopeful Oregon State can pull this one out because it would be fantastic to see him in an Oregon State jersey. And then the final 4-star is a Texas corner, Bryson Weber. Top 6, including Nebraska, Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Utah, and Oregon State. Another big defensive back. I mean, Oregon State's kind of had their fair share of tall corners with the Tyrese Ivey, the Wright brothers, and Bryson Weber could be the next line. He's 6'3", a ton of talent, plays in Texas, so he knows how to play competitive football. Big get to land Bryson on campus. Excited about the potential of getting him in an Oregon State jersey. Outside of that, the things that stand out is they're really going after defensive backs and tight ends. They have 3 tight ends: Cody Signer, Darren Naoni, and JJ Buchanan, who's a prospect I really like, as well as 4 defensive backs with corners: JoJo Scott, Weber, and Trey Glasper, and a safety in Sean Craig, who is teammates of Oregon State's commit Jeremiah Ioane. Jeremiah Ioane. It's really, I think it shows the caliber of Oregon State's staff to get these high-level players on campus. I mean, pretty much every one of these guys has a high-level Power 4 offer, or whatever you want to call it, and
No, I don't know what to call it anymore. I mean,
yeah, you call it the P4, the P4 plus the Pac-2.
P4 plus the Pac-2.
Yeah, but a ton of talent, and Oregon State. I'm expecting things to ramp up. I think I would not be shocked if they get at least 2 commitments coming out of this weekend.
Might not be immediate, but yeah. I mean, by the end of summer, Cody Signer is an interesting one out of Crane Union. Dad played at Oregon. He's got the frame. He's 6'7", 225. Plays 8-man football.
Yeah.
This was last staff. The previous staff's one of their number 1 target in the state of Oregon, or one of the number 1, and then he is also the staff's one of their top targets. They do want to take 2 tight ends though, so that would be. But he plays 8-man football, and the story I hear is basically it's so spread out there that he lives on a ranch, so Cody has to drive into town. It's an hour or 2 commute. Drives, and they have school housing in the town.
Really?
So he stays there for school, and then on Friday afternoon drives back and helps his parents on the ranch.
That's
totally
wild.
Different world there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a long way away. I know he's looking at Boise State too, which is closer. But no, huge weekend for Oregon State. Are you surprised that the staff is recruiting so well?
No, I mean, it's obviously a challenge given the current uncertainty around the program, but I've said this before. If you look at this staff and look at, the names, you got Thomas Ford, Keith Hayward. These guys can recruit. John Boyer is a guy that's popped up a lot. With
really? Okay. So
Buchanan, yeah. Okay. I mean, guys that committed like Andy Alfieri did nothing but rave about John Boyer, and it seems like he's established strong relationships with JJ Buchanan, Naomi Higner. Rod Chance as well is another name I've seen pop a lot. I actually think this staff is stronger at recruiting than the prior staff. I think you got an upgrade with your running backs recruiting. I think you got an upgrade with your secondary in Chance over Perkins, and then adding Keith Hayward. He's one of the best recruiters on the West Coast, and based off conversations with, I think I've talked to 8 or 9 of these 12, I think 9. Every one of them's really noted the personal relationship that the coaches are developing. Rod Chance is a guy whose name's popped up a lot in that. And I think it shows the kids that these coaches care a lot about them. And it seems like in today's age that recruits commit to coaches rather than a school. And it's very important for the coaches to build those really positive relationships early in the process and just build, and then get to the official visit. And that's where you hopefully seal the deal.
Yeah. And these guys, like I said, this is going to be a huge weekend for that. Most of these guys will be taking a few more visits, but this will be an important summer for these guys to close some deals on these guys. But yeah, a weekend. I mean, this is a decent weekend. So Bryson Weber actually came in today. I believe he got in today. Yeah, today, because he's scheduled to be here today. Great weather today, so
super nice. I think it's supposed to be good. 75 tomorrow. So
perfect.
Sun's out in Corvallis. It should be good.
And then heading into June, there's some other decent sized weekends. They have a camp coming up.
June 2nd.
So June 2nd. So it should be exciting time for the next couple weeks, especially. Anything else about the visitors?
Not this week.
Okay.
I will say Oregon State quarterback target Jaron Cavea
He's blowing up.
Saga Tuapolte, I think that's how you say it. He got he earned a invite to the Elite 11 finals, which is very hard to do as a quarterback. This kid's legit. He has 3 officials: Oregon State, Hawaii, Utah State, and maybe Boise as well. I think I saw them as well. But Oregon State, they need this kid. I'm a big fan of his game. Dylan Gabriel said he was going to shatter every single one of the Hawaii passing state records. Really excited to see how Oregon State does next weekend. Excited to get to know Jaron next week.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to, since I opened the show and we talked a little bit about NIL, and I know that wasn't really on the schedule, but and the whole House versus NC2A settlement. Okay. I pulled up my numbers, and this is coming from OSU Prof. So he's dialed into things.
Mhm.
So, okay. An in-state tuition. So everything includes in-state tuition, everything, their benefit package at Oregon State right now, the way it is $240,000 for an in-state, $320,000 for out-of-state. That's how much Oregon State basically is investing in these student athletes. That is all tax-free. So if they go on the House versus NC2A, and they're required to pay $20 million over 600,000 or 600 athletes, works out to 32 plus some change, 32,000 a year, 125,000. That will be taxed. You could also then turn and make them pay their own way, their own tuition. I just don't see how this is going to benefit student athletes. No. So that's going to, and at the end of the day, okay, so you don't want to pay 600 athletes. So what's that going to do? It's going to cut back on those non-revenue sports. So you don't have 600 athletes. Now you're dividing that pie amongst a smaller chunk. So it's something to watch. We don't have all the answers, but just crunching numbers the end of last week, it kind of left me thinking, be careful what you wish for. So lots to work through, but if you think athletic departments are going to lose money, they can't. So that just means they're going to start cutting sports. And then some of these athletes, I think they're going to get rich. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Okay, we're going to jump into the mailbag here because we have a couple good ones here. Okay, Corvallis Country Club says, I've never experienced such an opaque ticket sales process as we just had for the regional. I had to call the ticket office to learn how this actually happens. Then on the phone, I was offered the opportunity to donate money to the university in order to, quote, possibly purchase seats before they release to the general public. I appreciate what the donors do for our university, but a college baseball game shouldn't be like buying Taylor Swift tickets. So Goss is not a huge stadium, and it has huge demand. So that's a tough one when you have donors that have paid for that whole, the rebuilding, the expansions that give thousands of dollars a year to baseball. They do get first shot at those tickets. So right or wrong, it's a hot ticket, and so
that is a very hot ticket.
I mean, like Jake said, he doesn't know about students, and you need some students there.
None of us have any clue. I mean, I might actually have to call them myself to figure it out because
I would love to see. I don't know if you watched the Pac-12 tournament when ASU had like their football team. We could just get Oregon State's football team like right behind the Beaver dugout. But no, that's it's a problem. But I would rather have that problem than have nobody buying tickets. And it's a good problem to have. And unfortunately, I don't even think there's a ton of tickets on the secondary market. So this isn't even like people buying tickets to sell them for a profit. This is people are using these tickets. It's a tough ticket to get.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly expect a packed Goss Stadium over the next 3, maybe 4 days.
Yeah, but I do. I thought I heard it sold out in like 5 minutes.
Crazy. Yeah, I think it was 11 officially.
11, okay. 11 minutes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a lot longer.
Black Bandit wants to know, what kind of feedback are you getting from recruits and visitors? What are they selling about the future, and what is the feel that you're getting from these guys?
Yeah, I mean, going in terms of players that have already taken their officials, they all seem to touch on the culture Trent Bray's starting to build. I do feel like Jonathan Smith built the basis for a good culture. I think Trent Bray and the staff that he surrounded himself with can take that to the next level and really create a great culture. They've all raved about it. I mean, guys like Victor Sanchez, Corte Glass, Jeremiah, they've all been really just raving about Coach Bray and his staff. That's definitely been the biggest hitter, I guess, against their kids is that. And then previous it's again the relationships that the Oregon State coaches have established, as well as the success that Oregon State's had in past years, not only in terms of a record, but producing NFL players. I mean, Oregon State's saw 3 players get drafted this year. They saw 3 players get drafted last year, or 2 players. Yeah, 2. And that's something that guys like Bryson Weber talked about. That's something guys like Ren Brown talked about. One other as well. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
so they're getting the message across.
Yeah,
the coaches are
doing
definitely
a great job selling.
Yeah.
I mean, the answer that Ren Brown gave me to a question, he broke down pretty well. Yeah, like I don't know if that's Coach Devan getting that across or if that's him doing his own research, but that was probably the best answer I've ever gotten.
Hang on, let me find it.
It really took me aback. I feel like a lot of the kids don't do that research, and it was good.
Send it? I don't find it. I'm not finding it.
It was Monday.
Oh, Sunday. Okay, hang on. Okay, here it is. Here's the quote from Ren Brown. I've been going to Oregon since I was 1, so I know how beautiful the state is. From a team standpoint, they are fighters. Their record is deceiving. 3 of the last 5 losses were by 3 points or less. They lost to the number 2 team in the country by 2 points. They have all the tools to be a powerhouse. I'm excited to see the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, that answer kind of speaks for itself. And yeah, I mean, it was.
And like I said, I've covered recruiting for a long time, and to have that many guys get back to you so soon.
Yeah, I mean,
it speaks volumes to just. Mm-hmm. I always say it. You can tell the guys that are going to turn out to be good players because they have their stuff together.
Yeah.
And that means talking to media. It means getting their grades done. It means all the whole package. And so that's always a good indicator.
I mean, I texted 10 of them or 9 of them on Sunday, and I think 6 responded.
6 or 7, okay.
6 or 7 responded within the first hour and a half, which is pretty rare. And then the 2 guys who we found out were visiting on Monday or Tuesday. I think I found out on Tuesday. I texted them, and they both responded again within hours. And it may not mean a lot, but it's telling. I mean,
it is very telling. I mean, I can go down the list of the guys that turn out to be great players. They're all ones that I've actually would respond as recruits. Jaden Robinson, Brandon Cooks, James Rogers, Jaquiz Rogers, Marcus Wheaton. I mean, I can go down the list. Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer wasn't super heavily recruited either, and he got back to us. So anyway, it is very telling. I can kind of go off on a edge and be like, okay, at least this kid's gonna be a contributor or a solid kid when he can do that. So Elijah Klein 97 wants to know about when we can expect to see new football uniforms. There was a huge shipment delivered to the equipment room, like pallets, just a couple days ago.
A few of the players.
I know the players have seen them. Yeah, the players have seen them. It'll leak out here or be flashy announcement here.
So my question is, are they going to be in the NCAA 25 game?
Ooh, I heard that the turnover chainsaw is in the 25.
I did see that. I cannot wait to take the Beavers.
July 19th, right?
30 years. Yes.
Okay, so we are all it is.
You may not see a lot of content that first week.
Yes, and I'm really bad at it, but I like to play my son, and I just hit buttons until I.
It's so much fun. During COVID, the first that first 3-week, 4-week stretch of quarantine, All I did was just
That's all you did? Okay.
I think I got 40, 45 seasons into a dynasty um, uh, throughout the stretch of my senior year. It was, and I've waited 12 years, 11 years now. I'm so excited.
No, it's gonna be super fun.
Cannot wait.
I'm excited for it. Gosh, you were doing that. My kids were well, my youngest plays games, but he was what? That was
They were
24. So
probably
he
like
was like
8th
sixth
grade,
grade,
7th
well,
grade.
yeah, the youngest was like 6th grade. And I'll never forget that my mom had sent right before it went into lockdown, like one of those giant jelly bellies from Costco. And so they would seriously have like sit out in the patio and like close your eyes, guess the flavor kind of thing. That's what they did the first few days, then probably games. But okay, Gordon B0717. What is your key to Omaha? It's the one thing that if I were to say this will happen, the Beavs go to Omaha.
I kind of touched on this earlier, but the mental mistakes, I feel like to cut those out and clean up the games. But as turning over to more of a personnel side, I have 2 X factors I've already touched on. Keljo, who's a guy I feel like could be a huge difference in the postseason. He's a guy that has MLB starter type stuff. He's legit. And offensively, I think Trent Caraway is an X factor. I mean,
Yeah,
I haven't
definitely.
seen him in 2.5 months. Looks like he'll be back on in the starting lineup tomorrow. And again, he was batting .352, 5 doubles, 2 homers, 9 ribbies in his first 13, 14 games. This kid's legit. It'll be interesting to see how he does in terms of fielding, playing in the field, coming back off of a broken finger. I mean, it could definitely be a change for Trent, but he's a real talented kid. Excited to see him back because it just makes this Oregon State offense that much dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, just that is a good X factor. Okay, I have a couple more questions in the lodge, but I'm going to grab. We have a hot take here from Squeak E Clean. Jam and Hankerson will be a top 5 rushing duo in America. Maybe not in yards, but at least quality.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, that's.
I will say this: I love Anthony Hankerson's game. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I know Oregon State fans got a little glimpse at him during his spring game, but he's going to be some pretty good entertainment this season. I'm excited to watch him really just run all over.
My allergies are going bonkers. So
it's so bad for Corvallis right now.
My nose is itching here. Joe Swaim, and this ties into a question we have from Ty Boyce in the lodge, and we're going to get Ty on. I actually reached out to him. I want to get him on in July as we start doing some preview stuff. If you've been in the lodge, you've read some of Ty's stuff as he was helping with recruiting or with practice coverage. But he's super funny. He's super knowledgeable. And so I'm excited to get him. We're going to have him join us here when we kind of get into a regular routine talking football, probably late July. But this one ties into it because Joe Swaim asked about Gerard Lichtenhan. So do you think he can assimilate quickly enough to win one of the starting offensive tackle spots? And what are his early returns on how he looks at summer workouts?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can. I mean, it's a guy who started 2 seasons in the Pac-12. Physically, he's a monster. I mean, they call him Tank for a reason. You really don't see a lot of 6'10", 320-pound offensive tackles, or even guys that tall in the football field in general. Haven't really heard anything from the summer workouts just because it's mostly conditioning type stuff at the moment until school's over. I mean, I'm not even sure he's on campus yet, to be honest. Haven't heard anything, but he can certainly start. I mean, he's proven the ability to do it. The one question mark I would have, I mean, he's just so tall. How are the quarterbacks going to see over him? I mean, Jabari Johnson's listed at 5'10". Giovanni McCoy's a very generous 6'1". I feel like he may be more like 5'11", 6 foot.
He's not.
That could be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I've never really seen a tackle this big play with the potential of a quarterback being so small. So that's a question mark, but he certainly got the talent. And another key aspect is he's played a season with Kyle DeVan before, so he knows the scheme already, or at least the basis of the scheme. I'm sure there's stuff that's been tweaked or added on, but that advantage could propel him into that playing time.
Yeah. And then, well, Ty, I want to know your thoughts about playing Boise State in November, but
yeah, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
Never
Jake's going to be there.
Surf, yeah. A bunch of us are. I think 5 to 10 of us are going to drive down or drive across to Boise.
Drive over.
Great shot.
It should be fun. Turf. Thanksgiving in Boise.
Yeah, that should be fun. I've never watched a game on the Smurf turf, but I've heard it's from friends that have watched games there. They said it's kind of like it's kind of like Matthew Knight, where it's doesn't look great on TV.
Yeah.
But in person, it looks pretty cool. So
okay. Well, it's a huge game. I mean, there's and you and I are going to get way more in depth on all these games of the 2024 season. You've already kind of started kind of diving into that, but the way too early look. But we will definitely go in depth with all of these teams. Maybe pull in some 24/7 experts as well. But the last thing I want to touch on, I don't know if you, and this wasn't on our rundown either, Jake, but somebody brought it up in the message. And I wanted to see, did you see the new license plates?
Yeah, I did.
Pretty sharp looking.
Yeah,
I like them. I bought my voucher. I seriously just jumped on and bought it. And then I told my husband that I probably needed a black car because it would look really cool on a black car. But
yeah, the black on black.
I don't think that's going to happen. So it'll just look really cool on my white car. Yeah, I told him, I said, I just put in for a voucher. He's like, what? So I put in for a voucher. He was at work, of course, so kind of bugged him at work. And I said, and I think I need a black car. A matte black would be really cool.
Thrilled.
Yeah, he was kind of like, he didn't know what I was talking about, but it's all good. I put in my voucher. I know a lot of people have. So what I've heard is what's going to happen. Squeaky Clean, you haven't seen it. You have to see it.
I think there's a thread in the lodge.
Yeah, there's a thread in the lodge with a picture. It's black, and I think it has kind of like the wood grain, kind of low key in the background. But then it just says the Beaver State in orange, and it has the beaver head. So it's kind of just black and orange. Super simple. As much as I love the fact that the Ducks have a license plate that's different than just that generic one like the Beavers have now, I didn't like the look of it that well. This one I think is sharp. It's clean. It's black, orange.
I feel like the black's better than the green.
Yeah, black and orange. The Beaver State. Yes, squeaky clean. Get it. Yeah. Get your voucher. So this is how I understand it. I might be wrong, but I've had a lot of questions about it. So you buy that voucher from Oregon State. You'll get it in the mail. So you pay for it. They'll send you the voucher. They need it to sell 3,000 of them before they will do it. I don't know. I'm sure they have. I mean, it seems like it's been super popular. So once they get to 3,000, they'll start production. So it sounds like fall. They'll be ready, and then you can take them to the DMV.
Do you know, is this a damnation or is it a university?
No, it's university / athletic department. It's
I wasn't 100% sure.
I think the athletic department does get, a chunk of it. So the way I read it is out of that $40, and then you would pay that $40 every 2 years when you renew your license plate. But then Oregon State Athletics will get 35 of that. So I think it would be super cool. I don't know how much it would be, but I'm thinking because it has the little beaver there, and then have it say Blitz.
Yeah,
I need a custom.
That'd definitely be awesome.
But they're super cool. If you haven't looked at them, check them out. What's coming up? We have JP's weekly walk-off and Jake's rundown tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Recruiting coverage and official visit recaps and then previews. And then we're going to start with summer. Opponent previews, position previews, all the stuff. OC, Uncle Filthy, he's got this satin black car. That's what I want. Okay, but anyway, it's going to be a busy couple months, actually. Stick with beaverblitz.com, and we'd love to see you in the lodge if you're not there. Tons of great discussion, insight, and we kind of dive in deeper conversations in there. So if you're not a member, now's the time to join. And then Jake and I will be back. If the Beavs make super regional, hopefully we're back next week. So keep your fingers crossed. Go Beavs. Until then, have a great weekend, and we'll be back next time for another episode of the Damn Podcast.